How's it going today, everybody? We're going to be doing a reaction of Varus. Now, we're going to be reacting to all of his voice lines and his champion trailers and things like that, as well as we're going to read his story and biography. We're going to really dive deep into this character. This came recommended, obviously, after me reacting to Aatrox a little bit more in my past several videos. And, you know, Darkin lore is just something that's a little bit more fleshed out than, like, say, Demon lore and stuff like that. And Darkin seems to be a pretty significant part of Runeterra, as well as we're getting a new Darkin character pretty soon. All right, starting off with his biography here, it says, Varus, the arrow of retribution. You didn't destroy us all, and that mistake will be your undoing. Now, I wonder what this is speaking about. We'll find out, I suppose. Race, it says Darkin. Role is marksman. That makes sense. Related champions is Aatrox and Arcane. Those obviously make sense. Region is Ionia. Okay. And then the paragraph here says, one of the ancient Darkin, Varus was a deadly killer who loved to torment his foes, driving them almost to insanity before delivering the killing arrow. He was imprisoned at the end of the Great Darkin War, but escaped centuries later in the remade flesh of two Ionian hunters. They had unwittingly released him, cursed to bear the bow containing his bound essence. Varus now seeks out those who trapped him in order to enact his brutal vengeance, but the mortal souls within still resist him every step of the way. Okay, whoa, okay, hold on. We got a lot in just that paragraph. Let's dissect this really fast. So yes, he's one of the ancient Darkin, we know this. Varus himself as a Darkin was a deadly killer who loved to torment his foes before killing them. So like driving them insane. And then he was imprisoned at the end of the Great Darkin War. But it says centuries later, the two Ionian hunters are what formed into Varus now. But then it says the mortal souls within still resist him every step of the way. Okay, so those two are still resisting it. Okay, this is an interesting story already off the bat, to be honest. Let's go ahead and dive right into this. Regardless of what he would later become, Varus was once a paragon of loyalty and honor. A skilled archer of the ancient Shuriman Empire, he was appointed as a temple warden in the eastern states, and he held this duty sacred above all else. So he was actually a real, I mean, they always are. Aatrox even was too, right? Aatrox was a really good dude before this whole, you know, thing happens. During the earliest stages of the war with Acacia, even though it lay far from that cursed place, Varus's homeland was attacked. While other wardens abandoned their posts to join the defense of the outlying villages, he alone remained, screaming in anguish with every arrow he loosed, for he had chosen to uphold his oaths rather than return home to protect his own family. Wow. That's crazy. Emissaries from the ascended host found him kneeling in solemn meditation amid the corpses of his foes. It was said that his cold gaze unsettled even the god warriors themselves, and yet in recognition of his noble sacrifice, Varus was offered a place in their ranks. That's crazy. Even the part here where it was said that his cold gaze even unsettled the god warriors themselves. That's crazy. As one of the great ascended, he was utterly consumed by his pursuit of vengeance against the Acacians and the voidling horrors they had unleashed. It is likely that Varus did not even fully comprehend Shurima's ultimate victory in that war, so twisted had his mind become, nor the empire's fall centuries later. Atrocity after atrocity blurred together, leaving him as a withdrawn, callous killer, reshaped and sent into battle countless times by his degenerate brethren. Wow, so he just became like fully engulfed in this pursuit of vengeance. It took over, right? Their name became feared throughout the known world, the Darkin. Warring among themselves, they destroyed any other who stood against them. With his crystalline bow, Varus assassinated enemy commanders and champions, helping the Darkin defeat entire mortal armies with greater ease. Eventually, Varus was cornered by Vestian moonstalkers and human mages in service of a golden-armored warrior queen of Valorant. What is the warrior queen of Valorant that they're specifying here? They bound him within his bow, leaving him to howl in impotent rage. By then, the raw, corrupting influence of the Darkin was known, and yet still the queen chose to wield the deadly weapon in the final days of the war, gladly sacrificing herself for a greater victory. Wow, okay. So she actually uses Varus, you know, just sacrificing herself to win this war. In the months that followed, the queen carried Varus to the First Lands, those that would later be known as Ionia. Now made monstrous by the bow's power, her last act was to command her followers to bury her alive in a lightless well, sunk deep beneath a mountain temple overlooking the village of Pallas. And there Varus was imprisoned. Okay, so she gets buried with, okay. And there Varus was imprisoned both by the natural magic of Ionia and the ritual administrations of the temple guardians. The bow remained hidden for centuries, unknown, untouched, and all but forgotten, until Noxian invaders attacked the First Lands. So is it the first Ionian-Noxus war that it gets discovered? Two beast hunters, Valmar and his Heartlight Kai. So Valmar and Kai are the two mortals, got it. fought against the first wave at the Temple of Pallas. Though their courage was great and they drove off the attackers, Kai was mortally wounded, and a grief-stricken Val carried him inside, believing the well's forbidden magic could restore him. Okay, so Val for Valmar for short, Val for Valmar. So Kai ends up getting mortally wounded, and Val's like, okay, maybe I can bring him to the well, and it'll restore him. But then Varus obviously happens. But the temple held only damnation, and both hunters were consumed by the unleashed power of the Darkin within it. The very matter of their bodies was unraveled and bound together again to craft a new body, a body fit to free Varus from his imprisonment. What emerged from the well was a gestalt creature, pale and inhumanly beautiful, part human and part Darkin. After more than 1,000 years, Varus was reborn. 1,000 years that he was down in that well. Crazy. Even so, the human and Darkin elements of this imperfect form are in constant flux, with each managing to wrest control for a short time before being reined in by the other. Varus fights to silence the two mortal souls once and for all and wreak vengeance for the destruction of his race. Still, Kai and Val struggle against his malevolent influence, hoping against hope that their love can overcome the Darkin's hatred. How long can they keep Varus conflicted is anyone's guess, but should this sadistic and egotistical killer come to fully dominate his new host, it is certain he will seek to reunite with others of his kind and reduce all of Runeterra to an ashen wasteland. So, if Varus fully actually does take over the two mortals, then he will want to join with Aatrox in wanting Oblivion, I imagine then. But as of now, since it's like this constant flux, I'm assuming it's a little bit like Kane's situation where Kane is actually fully in control. And I don't think he actually cares about Aatrox's wanting Oblivion because he's kind of just doing whatever he wants. And Rost and Kane are kind of doing whatever they want, I guess. This seems like Varus himself truly does want to go, it says reduce all of Runeterra to an ashen wasteland, but obviously Valmar and Kai very much want their individuality and want to have control and not have this Darkin take over them. So, okay, this is a different take on the Darkin. I guess all of them have been, right? So Kane's a little bit different because it's just like they're, Kane and Rost are just, they get along, right? They're good. Well, they're pretty much. Yeah, Aatrox, we already know the whole Aatrox story, but this one's totally different with obviously having two mortals as one. That's got to be weird, first off. So 2 minds already, 3 minds technically. So yeah, that's got to be a really weird situation there. I'm curious to see what kind of story we get with Varus and kind of what's happened since Varus and Valmar and Kai have been together as one. What's kind of gone on? All right, the story for Varus is called Darkin. Varus followed a river running through the desert. Its water was gritty but drinkable. The new body he had wrought to bear his bow was beautiful, fast, and strong, but it came with the weakness of flesh. It hungered, it thirsted. Days earlier, a crook-backed creature with a withered arm and bird-like features had told him this was Shurima, but that couldn't be true. The Shurima Varus remembered had been a desolate wasteland. Was I imprisoned for so long, he wondered? He despised the human noises his new mouth made. It sounded bestial and primitive, but at least he could speak aloud once more. As to how long he had been imprisoned, it was hard to say. He retained no concept of how mortals measured time, and the bird creature hadn't recognized what he was. She had no idea how far back the Darkin War had been fought. Okay, well, from the biography, it said 1,000 years, right? But maybe it's like plus or minus, right? My kind all but destroyed this world, he said, and now we have been forgotten? How is that even possible? With enough time, even the greatest horrors can fade. The voice echoed in his skull, impossible to ignore. Which one was it, Kai or Valmar? He suspected Val, but mortal minds were so simple and muddy that it was hard to tell one from another. Oh, very interesting. I'm wondering who's going to be like, what kind of personalities we're going to have for Val and Kai. It's interesting. Any race that can forget staring into the abyss of its own extinction does not deserve to live, said Varus. We don't forget. This was Valmar, decided Varus. Horrors become myths so we can bear to hear them, so we can learn from them and not go mad. Such a notion was ridiculous, and Varus knew he would never allow the doom of his kind to fade from memory. He was about to say so when he heard noises from around a bend in the river ahead, shouting voices, braying animals, and the sound of tools on stone. He darted forward into the shadow of a toppled obelisk and scanned ahead. The new river had exposed the sunken ruins of an ancient structure comprised of pillars and statues of the oldest descended. Yes, this was the source of the magic he had sensed. Old magic, the kind the flame-haired queen used to enslave his kind. The flame-haired queen used to enslave his kind. Flame-haired queen would be, my assumption is either Shalani or Zoe? That would be my only two guesses. I don't know. The kind used to imprison him beneath the rock of Ionia. Tanned wolf lean men worked the ruins, digging out hidden reliquary chambers as thick-limbed beasts of burden dragged excavated rocks from deeper inside the structure. Warriors wearing boiled leather breastplates and carrying hook-bladed spears guarded the perimeter. Varus grinned and vaulted onto the obelisk, drawing back on his bow as he landed. Violet light built in the living weapon as it flexed, and a coruscating arrow of lightning formed in the air. Why must you kill them? This was Kai. He hated unnecessary killing. Okay, so Kai hates unnecessary killing, and then all we know about Val is he seems to be pretty intelligent, I guess. Varus felt his hands tremble as Kai fought to make him lower the bow. Your people destroyed my kin, said Varus, exerting his will to steady his aim. That's the only reason I need. He sighted along the crackling arrow as a burly warrior with a forked beard and shaven scalp saw him and yelled a warning. So everyone you see must die. Varus exhaled, and in the space between breaths loosed the shot. It flashed through the air to pierce the bearded warrior's heart, burning a hole clean through him. He dropped to his knees, his mouth wide with shock. Others hurled spears, but Varus was already moving. He sprang from the obelisk, sending a hail of blood-red bolts toward them and hit the ground running. A hook spear swung at him. He dove to the side, rising to his feet and sending a pair of crimson shots through his attacker's chest. Varus sprinted, leapt, and dashed through the ruins, blazing shafts of light, striking his targets with absolute precision. I want to see this like in a cinematic. This sounds really cool though. In seconds, it was over. 16 dead, and he hadn't even broken a sweat. He felt the anguish of Valmar and Kai within him and grinned. Whoa, that sentence alone is crazy. Every death gnawed at them, weakened them, and made them less able to fight him. The men excavating the ruined city fled, throwing down their tools and running for the river. Varus let them go. They were an irrelevance, and the killing of mortals without weapons always provoked the two souls within him to greater rebellion. Varus entered the ruined structure, briefly glancing at a pair of canine and crocodilian statues as he passed. Nasus and Renekton, right? We haven't reacted to them yet, but I just know from TFT and just from, everything that we've learned from Necrit and just past stuff, right? Inside, it was cool and dark, the walls covered in vivid bas-reliefs depicting wide discs spreading golden rays over a bountiful land. The stone floor was inscribed with a magical script that had been old even before Acacia's rebellion. Warding sigils, potent once but faded, said Varus, crossing the inscribed flagstones to where a towering statue of a great serpent-headed god warrior had once stood sentinel. Serpent warrior, headed god warrior. Cassiopeia? I don't know. Some past catastrophe had toppled it, and beyond its sandstone remains lay a lightless chamber. I need to get like a recap on the whole Ascended and like Azir. I need to react to Azir and like Nasus and Renekton and get the whole like Ascended stuff. He entered the glow from the smoldering light as his heart, revealing nothing but bare stone, burned black and glossy by ancient fire. Varus sighed. Where are you, sister? Sister? Whoa. He's looking for his sister. Okay. Who is Varus' sister? Is this possibly the new Darkin character that we're getting in a couple of months or so? That's interesting. I think I might have seen like some theory somewhere when I was doing like research or something on Darkin stuff. Is it Mahira? Is that who we're getting as the new character? And is that possibly who people think is the actual sister to Varus? This is very interesting. Okay. I actually don't know how new of a character Varus is either. So whenever we react to these characters, I kind of just go in. I don't really find out how old they are until we look at their theme and spotlight and stuff. So this was a really interesting story. This gave us a breakdown of kind of the whole dynamic of Val, Kai, and Varus. Varus very much seeming in control, at least for this whole story alone. Kai was able to, tiny bit lower the bow. That's about it. And then I guess Val kind of got into Varus's head a little bit with the whole, with enough time, even the greatest horrors can fade. He's in Varus's head a little bit. This is a really interesting dynamic here. I think this is one of the more interesting cases for Darkin because Aatrox, we know Aatrox just fully takes over his host. And then with Rost and Kayn, we know that story, and it's like one that's beneficial to both of them. But this one is the direct opposite of the other, the complete opposite of Aatrox almost in a sense, where it's Varus and the two mortals are kind of fighting for control, which is very much, again, so different than Kayn and Rost, and then Aatrox and the mortals that he takes over. So I like this. This is an interesting story for a Darkin character. All right, well, let's see what else Varus has to offer us with some gameplay spotlights, as well as his theme and, you know, of course, the voice lines and interactions later on. Now, I know before we go any further into Varus, we do need to watch the As We Fall music video. This came out about 5 years ago, it looks like. And I have seen this before. I did watch it when we reacted to all the League of Legends cinematics. But, you know, at the time, I clearly had no idea what I was even watching. I was just kind of enjoying the visuals and enjoying the music. But now, with reading the story in the biography for Varus, and then obviously knowing more about Darkin just in general, this is going to be a little bit more for me to dissect this time around and just to enjoy. So let's go ahead and watch. Let's turn the volume up just a bit. Palace Ionia, it says in the bottom. Okay. Okay, this is Valmar and Kai coming to the well. Oh yeah, he's got 2 arrows in him.
Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I die.
So Valmar becomes desperate. Okay, I'm going to pause. So wait a minute. So this is that queen that was mentioned that was using Varus before. Why is it being held by a bunch of hands? I guess that's the old magic that held it down there. Whoa. There's Varus. The visuals are crazy. So okay, I hate to pause here. So my guess is he tries to take over Kai and it's like not enough for him to come back, so he has to take over both. Or does he just want both? I don't know. Whoa, that's cool. Whoa, that's crazy. I'm sure the animators had a lot of fun. Well, that visual is so cool. So that's Kai. Okay, so this is, yeah, that's Varus taking over now. The visuals for this was so cool. Okay. Oh yeah, like, okay, this looks really cool. Hold on, we gotta go back, I'll be honest, all I've really seen of Varus is, the story page. We got a picture of Varus. I don't think I've actually really seen Varus. Where's the picture? Right here. He looks really cool. So, okay. So here we go. The bow is massive. Yeah, and then so the bottom half of him is like this Darkin form, and it looks like the top half is just human. Okay. Okay, that was a really good cinematic for even being 5 years old. Oh. Whoa. It splits into 4, or it like... Okay, first off, the red bolt, crazy cool visual. And then it splits like this? What? That's kind of creepy. All right, I'm excited. That was really good. I enjoyed that. So there's a behind the scenes Varus Retribution, and then there's a Darkin Saga Domination trailer for Legends of Runeterra. So I guess we're gonna watch both of these. So let's just go ahead and do it. So this is the story behind Varus Retribution, and so I guess it's just the story behind this, which I mean we've read about, but I guess we're gonna get a little bit more insight here. I've never watched one of these, the story behind videos from
We
League.
were going to make another music video. And at the time, we'd only released 3. There was Get Jinxed, The Curse of the Sad Mummy, and Warriors.
Well, Warriors,
So when we set
the
out
old
to
one.
do the 4th one, we wanted to somehow raise the bar, do something different.
League has always been a game that doesn't have a lot of time for story. You know, we can't just pause the game for like
Well, I beg to differ
a
now.
cutscene or like a really long monologue.
Oh,
or
well, I guess that's
dialogue
what he
between
means.
A couple characters, and so story in and around League needs to be presented in creative ways.
We thought it'd be really interesting
sure.
to try and tell a longer story. Could we start a story in one medium and go into another one, and then go into a third one maybe, and actually get players to care enough to click through each time to see what happens in the next chapter?
You guys got
In
me.
our head sounds awesome. We're just like, oh, this is going to be so cool. Imagine flipping a comic book. You know, you get to a cliffhanger of some sort, and you're just like, press play.
That's cool.
I had worked with Tyler a little before, and he came to me and showed me the script, some ideas that they had for what they were going for.
They really went all out with
the story,
Varus, huh?
Kind of seeing what we could do musically with it.
Like
The
when they first
sequence
introduced
when
him.
Varus actually gets made into Varus, like he goes from 3 separate entities to one entity, could be a really cool music video.
That seemed like an obvious point in the story where we could tell the story more abstractly, where we could go into realms of visual that we couldn't necessarily do as effectively in a comic.
We're in a fantasy world. Let's
I guess I'm going to pause and ask you guys, what is the preference in terms of receiving lore for a character? So let's say it's a character that's already been introduced, is already out. Do you guys like to see more, like as a whole, as a community, do you guys like to see more cinematics for the character? Obviously, I think cinematics are great. Do you guys want to see like music videos specifically? Or do you just want more comics or more written stories for the character? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different creative ways they've added story to League of Legends. Obviously, you know, I do that by reading and watching all of the kind of lore that they release. But do you guys have a preference?
use
I'm
those
very curious.
fantasy elements. We can do anything. Like, what's the craziest stuff we can do and have it make sense in a story?
I think it was Tyler who just said, he's like, it's a psychedelic trip. He's just like, just think colors and swirls and whirlwinds.
Think
And I was
colors
like,
and swirls.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. How do you explain that? You use the creative liberties of a music video.
I knew when we started the project that this was like an emotional tragedy at its heart, but like when you think about the mechanics of it, it could very easily have turned into some sort of like body horror, like they're just getting their flesh ripped apart. So we really looked at like, okay, how can we make this like a more of a proper tragedy? And it started with this Darkin would need to break them down to their essence, right? Like to what was going on inside them, and then piece it back together in his new thing. And it wasn't so much about just like ripping their flesh apart. It was more about like breaking them down piece by piece, physically, emotionally.
I'm glad we watched this. We got a little bit more of an
We got
idea
to,
of like
you
what
know,
their
the heads
ideas
cracking
were.
open, and you can see who these characters really are. Though they're in the middle of this tragic situation, like their connection that they have with each other gives them a unique opportunity to really see, like literally see what's going on inside this person's head that they're so close to in their most tragic and desperate
Yeah, I thought this
moments.
visual was really cool.
It was
Right
almost
there.
like halfway between writing a song and kind of scoring a movie. And trying to find the right balance between that was kind of a really cool challenge.
With Music Video 4, we didn't have to choose Varus.
Okay.
We realized there were this group of champions who didn't really fit in the modern League of Legends lore. We thought, it might be cool to try and use this as an opportunity to update Varus and bring him into the now.
Varus
Okay, so this was an
character
update to
whose
Varus?
Kind of arc went pretty linear. You know, this thing happened, that thing happened, now I will avenge the first thing that happened. Whereas we wanted to try and see if we could add some more nuance to the backstory of Varus, a layer of depth to who he was beforehand, and something more to afterwards.
The thing is, when you look at Varus, like there's one obvious story to tell, right? And that's the bow.
Right. Which looks insane.
It was when Graham McNeil pitched the idea of him being one of the 5 Darkin.
One of the 5 Darkin?
Really excited.
He realized, he's like, we're not telling a Void story. This is a Darkin story.
What if the Darkin are the weapons? And what if the bow is one of the weapons?
As soon as we started talking about Varus as one of the Darkin, it all sort of clicked.
We have this well, this pit with this demon inside from an ancient race that's looking for a new body. He's trapped inside a bow at the bottom of this well. Fast forward a millennia or so, and you've got him breaking down the bonds of his prison and becoming more powerful and eventually like trying to get out.
Cool.
So these magical elements have kind of bled into each other, and they're at war in this well, and then you throw in 2 humans that have their own story going on, and I mean, you see...
Obviously, Darkin lore has been fleshed out a lot more since this.
Not the same guy who emerges from it.
Like quite a bit, to be honest.
It had to be driven by the strongest kind of emotions that we can imagine.
So like love.
Romantic love in this case. Varus is basically created because Val is unwilling to live without Kai.
Oh, that's why they couldn't be separated. Okay, so, and that's how, so, okay, Varus was going to just take over Kai, and it wasn't enough because Kai was like dying, right? So, and then the fact that Val couldn't be without Kai, it allowed Varus to be born. That's my, I don't know, I'm assuming.
Slaying some terrible beast, and that had forged a union between them and a shared experience that had then grown into the love that they share as Heartlights.
Okay, that's the Heartlights comic, I assume, in a nutshell.
They understand each other in every facet of their lives. Like, that's why they're partners. They understand all the battles, all the trials, and they never want to be separated from each other for even a minute.
Individually, either one of them would probably have been overwhelmed by the Darkin presence.
Okay, individually.
Together they were stronger. Ultimately, that bond, that love between the two of them is what allows them to hold on to themselves.
Oh, that's so cool.
Overwhelming power.
That's why they're able to like kind of fight back against Varus, taking full control.
Many stories that we can tell, and this comic and music video exploration
that's awesome.
Just opened the doors to a ton more stories.
What happens when all 5 Darkin come together? Will Val and Kai be able to quell the hatred within them?
We want to tell.
So they're saying 5 Darkin here. Who? Okay.
You know, bigger stories, better stories.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Stories.
You guys tell me. Has that changed?
People watch Varus, they read through the entire
I feel like
story,
it has,
and
but
they feel like he's suddenly a much realer character.
You guys let me know in the comments what they're referring to as the 5 Darkin. Okay, very cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the other video that we saw at the end, which was the Legends of Runeterra video for him. All right, now obviously this is going to be a little bit newer. This says the new expansion, the Darkin Saga. So I don't know if this is Varus specifically. It looks like it is actually. Domination trailer. So obviously Legends of Runeterra stuff is all going to be a little bit more new and recent. So this video is only about 6 months old as of recording this. So let's check it out. Blighted rage, tainted soils. Faceless woes reap bloody spoils. What do we got? We got a poem here. Arrow's tip atones with pain. Light shall feed the darkened blade. So we're gonna be getting. There's Varus. Very cool.
More than this. We are more.
We are more.
What I could learn from studying such a weapon. Fascinating, the overlap between magic and science.
Who in the world?
A piercing bolt, aim for the heart. That weapon calls to me, offering a great hunt.
The Winter's Claw will never accept peace. When and where we find power, we will take it.
Are these like
True power eclipses
Varus?
both day and night. I will end their cyclical war.
Giving power to other weapons? I'm confused by this.
You are soft, Varus. Weak, too human.
Excuse me?
So much blood. So much life.
That's Shalani.
The
Retribution will find its mark. This is the power of the Darkin.
That was pretty cool. I like the visuals there against him shooting an arrow at Shalani here. Yeah, so it seems like, okay, so you guys will have to explain this one a little bit to me, but it looks like here, yeah, is he like able to portray Darkin abilities or like project it onto other people's weapons that so people will like become followers of his, sort of? Because it seems like these are just like regular bow and arrow or like crossbows that have been imbued with the power of Varus, possibly. That's interesting. You guys will have to let me know if this is something that all Darkins can do, or if this is something precise to Varus himself. I didn't know this was even a thing. So, okay, very cool. This was a little bit different than what we're used to for the Legends of Runeterra videos. Interesting. Let me know, guys. Let me know in the comments about this one. All right, now we're checking out the Varus Champion Legends of Runeterra video.
Will find its mark.
Varus fears nothing and no one. All right, let's take a look at the cards here. So Varus himself is a 3/4 for 4. Origin the Arrow of Retribution, auto-equip the Darkin Bow. You have targeted 8+ allies, and that's when he levels up. Okay. Oh, well, let's read the rest here. The Arrow of Retribution. You may put any cultist cards into your deck during deck building. Once you have played 3+ cultist spells, draw a Varus. And then the Darkin Bow is 2 equipment. When you play a spell or equip an ally, give me +1, max is +5 until the next time my bearer strikes. Cool. Okay. Loving the artwork.
Learn from studying such a weapon.
You will know our power. Be patient.
You will know our power. Specifically our power, okay?
Bloodshed is the only way, isn't it?
Grant me your power. Let me end our war.
That's a Lunari cultist.
Then your petty war.
Then your petty war. Hold on, I want to hear this again.
Petty war. Our revenge comes first.
Our revenge comes first. So Varus's revenge comes first. Then your stupid petty war. Okay. Okay, what do we got going on here? Just some battles. Okay, okay.
True power eclipses both day and night.
All right. 5-2 Varus right now. Leveling up. That's cool. 4-5. So this is the level up. Auto-equip the Darkin Bow, and it activates twice and has a max of +10 now. Got it. That's crazy. Shalani.
Free. I am ascended.
It is complicated enough without your domineering.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I have no idea what just happened in game, but just like wiped out 2 people.
Their minds are so fragile.
I really need to actually start playing Legends of Runeterra so I can understand what's actually happening a little bit more in these videos. It wouldn't take me long to learn, I feel like, because I have an idea of how to play card games, playing, you know, Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone and stuff like that before.
One step closer to retribution.
One step closer to retribution. All right, let's take a look at all these cards here. What else did we not take a look at? Varus's Chain of Corruption. What is this? Give an enemy vulnerable and give an ally +1 this round. Create a fleeting chain of corruption. The Unforgiving Cold is what's behind me here. Frostbite, the strongest enemy. Okay. Then we have these 3 cultists that we saw in the other video for Legends of Runeterra that we saw, that we were like confused that he was like giving their weapons like some power here. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. And then what's this? The Violent Discord. This looks exactly like the Darkin harp that we saw in the Aatrox video a while back. It says deal 1 to a unit. If you have equipped an ally this game, copy me with the same targets. This is interesting. Okay. All right. Anything else in here in this video? That's it. New expansion October 12th. So this is when, so Varus was just added roughly like 6 months ago. So he's pretty new to Runeterra. You guys will have to let me know. Those that do actually play Legends of Runeterra, let me know. I actually haven't been asking this. You guys will have to let me know like how good some of these cards are and some of these champions are when they get added to the game. Me being somebody that kind of roughly knows, you know, how card games work in general, usually like some cards that hop in might end up just not really changing the meta whatsoever. There's usually some sort of meta, right? And so you guys will have to let me know where Varus lies in that meta currently in Runeterra. Cool, let's go ahead and continue on with the reaction though. All right, everybody, it's that time to take a look at the skins for Varus. Now, I'm going to try to eliminate them down to just top 3 for me. You guys will have to let me know what your favorite skin is for Varus in the comments, though. So for now, we're going to keep the original one in here. I'm curious what we're going to get for Varus. I have no idea, like, what kind of variants we might get here. Okay, so the first one we're taking a look at is Blight Crystal. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. The bow is kind of interesting, but I don't know. It's just like made of crystal. It's pretty cool. I like the town in the background, I guess. Okay, and then we have Arclight. This one looks really cool. He looks like a paladin, like, he's got like the paladin or like the ascended Shuriman like vibes, I guess, going on with him. But this is, like it says, the Archer Varus bathed in the transcendental energies of the Arclight. Okay, I like the shoulder as well, and then the bow looks cool. Let's continue on. What do we have? We have the Arctic Ops. I don't know what it is, but maybe I'm not like the biggest fan of the Freljord stuff. I don't know. In terms of like skin wise, this one looks okay. It looks like it's a mixture of like a, yeah, it looks like it's like Freljordian and then like army at the same time, which is kind of like to me. So let's move on. Heartseeker, is this like Cupid Varus? Okay, this one I'm kind of digging just because it's kind of funny. Because when I'm thinking of Varus, I'm thinking of some like, you know, like the opposite of Cupid, just like a really like honed in on retribution and revenge and all this. And he's so serious that this skin is like the opposite of what he actually is. So it's kind of funny. Let's put this one in the top 3 for now. Oh, and then we have Varus Swiftbolt. So this is like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of one, I'm assuming. This is him in the bottom right. It looks like he's like a night elf from like World of Warcraft or something, to be honest. Or just an elf, I guess. Okay, I'm digging the vibes on this one. We don't get a picture of it in game. I'm digging the vibes because I love Dungeons and Dragons. You know, I used to play World of Warcraft a long ass time ago. But yeah, I just like the aesthetic and everything of this one. Next, we have Darkstar. What in the world is happening here? He's like a freaking what is it called in Marvel? Like Galactus? Is it a Celestial or something? Dude, he looks crazy. What in the world is happening here? Is there a, okay, this is it in game. Oh, let's look at the original here. What? Okay, whoa, the bow looks really interesting. Let me look at the antimatter version. I don't know how I feel about the bow. It just looks weird, but the aesthetic of Varus himself looks really cool. Yeah, let's put Darkstar top 3. So we have Darkstar, Heartseeker, and we'll go the original so far. Ooh, Conqueror. I like the name Conqueror because it reminds me first off of King. Big Marvel person here. King the Conqueror, and the aesthetic is just really cool. I like the reds. I like the black. The red and black is always like really cool to me when it comes to like character skins. And then the gold touch as well. The gold with the red and black and his eyes and his hairstyle. Okay. Ooh, Conqueror's in, and I think we actually take, I think I'm going to take Heartseeker out. Heartseeker, you stayed in there for a couple of skins, but we're going to take you out. Then we have Infernal version of Varus. Okay, he's like a, it says like a magma version of Varus. It's kind of cool. Oh, see, in-game, it looks even cooler, though. See, like, the portrait here, or the picture, looks cool, but then I look at the in-game version of it, it looks, like, really good, to be honest. I don't know if it's worthy of taking over top 3, but let's go ahead and continue on. Maybe I'll change my mind. Okay, we have a Project Varus, which I like the cyberpunk aesthetic. I've said this before in previous videos of mine. How does it look in-game? I don't really like this. So, like, the Darkstar bow is kind of like this, too, where it's, like, I don't know, it's, like, too pointed. I don't know how I feel about it. But overall, I think the skin is pretty good. I really think I like the cyberpunk aesthetic more in the pictures than I do sometimes in the actual like in-game version of the skin. So let's go ahead and yeah, we're going to take Varus Swiftbolt out. So we're going to do, it's going to be Darkstar, Conqueror, and Project for now. Let's go ahead and move on. Cosmic Hunter. Oh, crap. Okay, we can't have Cosmic Hunter and Darkstar in at the same time. Okay, one of them's got to be better than the other. It might be freaking Cosmic Hunter. Maybe because I like the bow a little bit more. It's like astral-like, kind of like Aurelian Soul and stuff. There's different colors and stuff as well. I like the emerald one. Obsidian. I don't know what color I'd go with. Okay, yeah, Cosmic Hunter I think I feel a little bit better about than Darkstar, because Darkstar, It doesn't even look like Varus at that point. He looks totally different. So, okay. Dude, this is probably the most I've actually changed the top 3 for skins so far. And then we have the High Noon version of Varus. Yeah, the High Noons. I've never been a big fan of the aesthetic of like High Noon and like the cowboy aesthetic for skins for characters. Nothing against cowboys. Nothing against them. I actually really like Ashe from Overwatch. And I like her whole aesthetic and everything and her different skins. But specifically, like for League, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the High Noon stuff, I guess. So, okay, this is easy enough. This is going to be my top 3. You guys have to let me know what your top 3 is or what your favorite skin is for Varus. Let me know. It's going to be Cosmic Hunter, Project, and then the Conqueror one. Conqueror one's really cool. It says commemorating the 2018 Midseason Invitational in Europe. Oh, man, the bow is massive in this. I just realized that. Yeah, those are going to be my top 3, though. I really dig these skins. I think Versus skins, they could probably do some more creative stuff with it, to be honest. I didn't see like I don't know, they could do like a Robin Hood aesthetic or any kind of like, you know, like any person with a bow and arrow kind of aesthetic from other, you know, pop culture or something. I don't know. Maybe that's been done for Ashe or something. But okay, let's go ahead and check out the little trivia at the bottom. Okay, for the trivia, it just says Varus was the first champion to be released in Season 2 with only one alternative skin, with subsequent champions following the pattern. Varus' title, the Arrow of Retribution, strongly resembles Callista's title, the Spear of Vengeance. I am interested in Callista. We've kind of moved away from the Shadow Isle stuff for a minute, but we will get there eventually. Varus is, along with Blitzcrank, Caitlyn, Lysandra, Rumble, Sion, Vi, Xerath, and Ziggs, one of the few champions that can apply crowd control on themselves. Okay, interesting. So there's only a handful of people that can do that, huh? Varus' body style is similar to the one of Solus, the Talon leader from the game Breakdown. I don't know what that means. Varus is the first of 3 dark-themed champions with a light-themed skin, the second being Syndra and the third being Aatrox. Okay, Syndra. We don't know anything about Syndra currently. Of these 3, Varus' skin is the only one not on the Justicar theme. Varus is the only Darkin champion whose abilities have ability power ratios. This is most likely because Varus was retconned into being a Darkin in 2017, 5 years after his release in 2012. Okay, in that other video we watched a little bit earlier in our reaction, I was like, oh, they were talking about how like, oh, let's turn him into a Darkin with the bow. The bow is the Darkin. I was like, what? What are they talking about? He is actually from 2012, and they changed him in the video that we watched, right? Now he's a Darkin, and that was in 2017. That's interesting. I'm glad we're just getting, you know, I mean, it's only been since, what, 5-6 years ago, but that's still pretty cool that they updated his lore and made him a little bit cooler and everything in the sense of the Darkin lore. You guys will have to let me know how you guys feel about this retcon that they did to Varus in 2017. Okay, now we're taking a look at the character fandom page for Varus. Let's see what we have here. It says appearance. His imprisoned form is in the shape of a bow wielded as a Darkin, a large purple organic bow body with sharp spikes and organic plating that mimics steel. This bow has bioluminescent appendages along its length. His physical form takes the form of a fusion of his pre-imprisoned Darkin form and the flesh of 2 Ionian hunters. In this form, he has a big stature, standing taller than most mortals. His skin is white and he has organic armor shells on the lower parts of his body. He has a hole on his heart representing where Kai took an arrow. Oh, that's very interesting. I did not realize that. So he has a hole where his heart is, and that's supposed to be where Kai took the arrow. Okay. It is unknown what Varus looked like in his ascended form. Got it. Yeah, that's very interesting if we're ever going to find out like what these Darkin look like in their ascended form. Like at some point in the future, if we'll figure out that, you know, we'll get some of that lore or something. Okay, let's take a look at the abilities. Hemomancy. Varus, just like any Darkin, has blood magic abilities, able to use blood as a weapon as well as a tool. Body manipulation. Varus can take over and change the form of the body of any mortal that wields Varus' bow. In order to change the form of their body, however, Varus needs to kill others and use their flesh and blood to change his form. He used the combined bodies of Valmar and Kai to get a closer approximation of his old form. Ascension. Varus, just like any Darkin, started out as a Sunborn, which granted him immense physical abilities, gigantic size, and access to celestial magics. Immortality. Varus is immortal. His consciousness is trapped within his weapon, and the weapon is indestructible. There is no known way to permanently kill Varus, which is obviously the same with all the other Darkin. Energy projection. Varus can create chains and arrows of corrupted celestial energy. So, okay, I didn't know about the whole chain ability because we learned about that a little bit just because we saw that one card in Legends of Runeterra for him. Interesting. Bow proficiency. Varus is trained in the use of his bow, which is imbued with magic of the Ascended. He uses this in battle and killed many with with it, right? Yep, makes sense. And then relations. This is always an interesting part. Let's see. It is hinted in his lore that Varus may have been imprisoned in his bow by a possible previous avatar of the aspect of the sun. This warrior queen used him to end the Darkin War and later sealed the bow in the land that would later be known as Ionia. Varus was released from his prison by 2 Ionian beast hunters, Valmar and Kai. Valmar had hoped that the well imprisoning Varus would heal Kai, but it did, but it released Varus and fused their bodies together. Right, now they're in constant state of struggle. Right. Okay. In the censored version, Kai and Valmar are close friends rather than lovers. The censored version. Wow, they gotta have a censored version? No, they're lovers. Okay, on release, Varus had a wife and a son named Thescian who were killed by the Noxian army during their invasion. This has been since retconned. It is implied Riven was part of the troop that destroyed his home. Okay, so this is the old version of Varus that we obviously haven't learned anything about until now. Okay. Anything else we got here? So the biography, I know there's some more short stories and, we have this, we have the comics down here, Heartlight and Retribution. The comics, guys, I would really love to, maybe in like part 2, we'll go ahead and read those. But I know the comics are a little bit longer to read, and it's like it would take probably like half an hour to go through, at least each of them, or if not both of them. So I would like to save like comics for usually the part 2. All right. Oh, wow. We have a lot of trivia down here. Let's check this out. Varus means bent outwards, bow-legged in Latin, in contrast with valgus, bent inwards, knock-kneed. Ancient Romans used this adjective as a cognomen to describe persons with anatomical deformity that bent their legs outwards like bows. Humorously, the fact that his name is the term for knee deformity and the fact that Varus is an archer could be a reference to the famous arrow to the knee meme. I don't know about that, but sure. Okay, Varus, along with all these other people, are technically nude. Oh, he's one of the other nude ones. The pants that he's wearing are actually the manifestation of corruption. Varus is implied to be ambidextrous as evidenced by having 2 skin arts that have him holding his bow in his left hand and the other 2 having it in his right. However, Varus is most likely right eye dominant since archers traditionally wield their bow according to their eye dominance rather than their hand dominance due to the fact that he only holds his bow in his left hand in game. I forget, I think I'm actually left eye dominant. I don't know, just a random fact about me. Okay, it says Varus, the Arrow of Retribution. Varus is around 3,496 years old. Where did this number come from? As he ascended during the Acathian rebellion against Shurima, the palace temple references the epithet meaning youth girl of pre-Greek goddess Athena. Later, Greek writers re-identified Pallas as a titan killed by Athena. Okay, that's just some like Greek stuff around the name Pallas. Kai is a common Navorian name with many variants. So Irelia's deceased brother Kai is not the same Kai living within Varus, okay? He is currently on the quest to find other remaining Darkins in Shurima, correct? We know that. And then Varus, the Arrow of Retribution. His namesake might be the infamous Roman general Publius Quintilius Varus, who foolishly led 3 Roman legions to their demise during the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. While League of Legends Varus defends his charge but loses everything to the Noxian invaders, to which he vows revenge. Well, see, this is different. Is this trivia? I'm assuming this is trivia on the old version. Varus is in a state of transformation and made a decision to sacrifice his humanity. In fact, his very self to gain the means to achieve revenge. The pants are the manifestation of the corruption overtaking him. He only has so much time before it will overtake him. Okay, so this is the old version of Varus before he was retconned into a Darkin. Okay, so I guess all of this is kind of like old stuff. Obviously it was kept in here because, you know, it's still old information, but it's still obvious to keep this kind of stuff in here for his character. But a lot of this, I guess, doesn't really matter anymore because that's the old version of Varus. It all is kind of retcon, so none of it actually really means anything anymore for his character. Okay, honestly, not a whole lot for Varus in terms of on his Fandom Wiki. Now, I guess there's not too much more to flesh out maybe with his story, or that he hasn't really shown up in anything else recently. Obviously, he's been added to Legends of Runeterra. But other than the music video from 5 years ago, I would say there hasn't been anything for Varus since then, right? I guess we also have, just voice lines from Legends of Runeterra. He has some voice lines with Aatrox that we heard in that reaction. But yeah, not a whole lot of stuff going on with Varus as of late. We just kind of know the story that we just read. Darkin, that he's looking for other Darkin, and then he says sister at the very end of that, so he is looking for his sister specifically, which that was a really good cliffhanger, I think, in my opinion, because we don't know who his sister is. We're assuming she's also a Darkin, so that's very interesting. I am curious to see where his story goes from here. All right, everybody. Luckily, we have a Varus special interactions for Legends of Runeterra uploaded by Skin Spotlight, so we're going to be checking that out. It looks like we just have a short section here. It's like maybe 3 minutes long, and then I don't know if there's anything. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in this video for Varus. The rest are for like Seraphine and Vayne, but let's go ahead and
Hear
check
the
this out.
voices in my head. Can you quiet them too?
Maybe I could, but I won't.
What the? Seraphine's a savage, okay?
They will fear my name.
Kane?
And
All right.
grovel before mine.
Rost?
They don't even know you're there, Rost. The
That's
child is
crazy.
gone. The killer remains. Both will live on through you.
Okay.
You speak of balance as if you've mastered it.
He kind of has.
I need not make peace with my parasite.
Well, I guess not,
as
yeah.
you have.
Well, Varus really
Of
hasn't
all
made peace.
forms, you pick one hiding in shadows.
This vessel is capable of incredible power. Observe.
Nice. Rost's voice is
Things they
crazy.
say remind us of who we were. We cannot go back to that. We can only be something new.
Huh. Is that... Okay.
Many things. Honored, forsaken, cursed. But above all, we started as men.
Okay, I was going to say, is that like Kai and Valmar coming out?
Their voices grow ever stronger, reminding me of mortality. This constant we abide, we do not know that they are wrong.
Interesting.
We hear them.
Talking to
Kai
himself here.
And Valmar.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Their chatter is endless.
Their chatter is endless.
That weapon-
See, I like this for his character that they've done this. It's a lot different than Kane and Aatrox. It's just totally different. Like that, it's two mortals, two people, and they were lovers, and it's like they're constantly talking. I think that's such an interesting aspect to his character.
Weapon calls to me, offering a great hunt.
Indeed. It knows we seek betrayers.
Betrayers.
If I had your power, they would have to listen. They will, if you follow.
Okay.
What I could learn from studying such a weapon.
You will know our power. Be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Grant me your power. Let me end our war.
We heard this one
Our
earlier.
revenge comes first, then your petty war. They can stall their fate, but they cannot deny it. In empty moments, I hear them clamoring to be free.
Valmar and Kai.
We already spend too much time debating the path forward.
We already spent too much time debating the path forward. I wonder what he's speaking of truly there. Like, what is he speaking specifically about?
Patience is not a trait I share with these two.
I like that one.
One step closer to retribution. Let this be a lesson to the rest.
Yep.
Vengeance spawn on an arrowhead.
I like that one too. That one's kind of creative.
We suffer this loss as one. We've come so far. This won't stop us. There's
I like the
nothing
positivity,
left here for us.
Varus.
Your will crumbles so easily.
That's a badass line.
Their minds are so fragile.
Their minds are so fragile. Is he talking about the enemy? Or is he talking about Valmar and Kai?
Give in.
Okay, everybody, this has to be wrong, but I'm not finding actual Varus voice lines, like even uploaded by Skin Spotlights or anything for him in League of Legends. So did his voice lines, obviously he was retconned about 5 years ago, but like what happened to his voice lines? It seems like everything voice lines related is all from Legends of Runeterra within like the last 6 months. So I guess maybe there hasn't been anything done to his voices for a very, very long time. I did find another video that does have a few more voice lines from Legends of Runeterra that we didn't get in the other video. So we're going to take a look at that, but I'm a little like worried that I'm not seeing any actual voice lines for him in League of Legends, which seems really odd to me. He's got to totally have voice lines. Maybe that nobody's uploaded a video. I don't know. I'm surprised essentially. So let's go ahead and just take a look at these. And if I totally missed his voice lines somehow, please let me know in the comments. We'll do a part 2, and like in the part 2, maybe we'll do like the comics and then the 2 comics that we missed, and then his voice lines as well, because I'm totally missing them. I'm usually don't have an issue finding them, but this time we are. Let's go ahead and listen to these though. So we got a couple of like attack declares, block declares, and then I think there's like whenever the enemy player goes idle and stuff like that.
We deliver their end. There's a price to pay.
Okay.
There is no forgiveness. Don't stand
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the forgiving type, does he?
against us. I know what we are. We are alike in our conviction.
Choose me. Okay.
Val. We.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What? He actually, like, says their name as he dies? That's kind of interesting. The way he says it in death here almost sounds like he cares about them, right? A little bit. Anyways, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like he does. Let's hear it one more time.
I know what we are.
One more time. I want to hear it.
We are alike in our conviction. Kai. Val.
Maybe that's Kai and Val. Actually, you know what that is? That's probably Kai and Val actually taking over in death. That's Valmar saying Kai as they're dying, and then that's Kai saying Val. Okay, that's probably actually what it is.
We. We suffer this loss as one.
Okay, we've heard the defeats, so let's go ahead and scroll. Okay, we haven't heard the level ups. Let's listen to the level ups.
The arrow of retribution will find its mark. I am more than this. We are more.
I like that.
Beware those who have nothing to lose.
We have heard those, but that's
We will
fine.
seek our retribution elsewhere.
We will seek
Your
it
will
elsewhere.
crumbles so easily. Their minds are so fragile.
We've heard these. That's fine.
Give in.
I
Their
like that. Give in.
purpose and mine is clear. Bloodshed is the only way, isn't it?
Bloodshed is the only way. I mean, no, but sure.
Revenge will quiet our minds.
Only revenge will
I
quiet our
will
minds.
surpass these mortal constraints. There is so much power in us. They can stall their fate,
Oh,
but
here we
they
go.
cannot deny it.
I like that. I love the idle lines. They try to be like pretty funny in these, to be honest.
Empty moments I hear them, clamoring to be free. We already spend too much time debating the path forward.
Oh, we heard that one actually.
Patience is not a trait I share with these two.
So, okay, you guys will have to let me know. Like, again, I don't know if I'm missing something for Varus. I will absolutely do a part 2. I'm a little surprised that we haven't been able to see anything on YouTube. I did, I think, see a 10-year-old video, but that's old Varus, and it was like 2 minutes long. And I think those lines are probably just old school, and they don't actually mean anything now because he's been retconned. So you guys let me know. I really hope I didn't miss anything. But let's go ahead and talk about Varus now. So again, I actually find his story to be very, very cool because I think he's super unique compared to Aatrox and Kayn. Not saying Aatrox or Kayn are obviously not unique, but I don't know. I feel like I can't even compare Varus to anybody from like any other sort of like pop culture or video game or anything like that, because it's literally two lovers fuse. I mean, Darkin themselves are already unique to any other game. Never heard of, you know, Darkin or like, you know, weapons being alive, right? I've never really heard of that. And then having it fused with two mortals is kind of crazy to me. That like it's a really good story is all I'm basically saying here. And then the form of Varus, really cool. I think his aesthetic is really awesome. The bow is insane. You guys will have to let me know, obviously, which weapon you find to be the coolest. We have a scythe, a bow, and obviously Aatrox the sword. And then I think we're getting a new one here pretty soon. I think it's Nefiri. I was saying earlier Mahira, but I think it's Nefiri, which looks like I don't even know. I haven't researched into it, but I think that's the next Darkin that we're getting. So I don't know what kind of weapon that is. That'll be really cool to react to when we get that. But anyways, going along with Varus, I do find the whole Valmar and Kaya aspect really interesting with the little voice lines that we did get. I think the the Kai and Valmar aspect, again, add a lot to his story, as well as the story of him being used in the Great Darkin War to end it by this like queen, right, earlier, and then she trapping themselves in the Ionian well. That's such a cool story. I don't know what it was, what his story was before he was retconned. Like, was he always at this well? I don't think so, right? That was the retcon, is like he's in this Ionian well after the Great Darkin War, because yeah, all of that stuff wasn't there for his story beforehand. I'm actually really surprised after reacting to Varus now that we don't have more Darkin. It seems like I don't know, I think they would like kind of hone in on the Darkin thing and maybe start pumping them out, but they really haven't, because we've learned a lot from the last several months. I've learned a lot about like Shurima and the Ascended and all the Darkin, and it's like obviously there are a bunch of other Darkin weapons and like smaller Darkin, I guess you can say. I don't want to call them smaller because I mean I feel like you should fear all Darkin, but it's really surprising to me that we only have 3 Darkin in League of Legends actually like playable characters, that like actually like main playable characters in the game. It's a little surprising to me. Obviously we're getting a new one here soon, but yeah, you guys will have to let me know how you feel overall about the Darkin lore and how it's been, you know, pumped out recently, and just what you guys think of Varus, and what you guys think of him compared to Aatrox and Kayn, who your guys' favorite Darkin is. Obviously we have a new one coming, like I've said before, but I really want to know what you guys think about Varus. That's going to do it for this reaction, folks. I appreciate you watching, and if you really enjoyed this reaction, please leave a like. It does help the YouTube algorithm, and then consider leaving a comment if you want to let me know what your thoughts are on the character, and of course subscribe to the channel so you can see my other reactions. We do have a reaction already on Kayn, and then we do actually have 3 parts to our reaction to Aatrox, because Aatrox is a very popular character and Darkin in general, so we do have a couple of parts to that. Varus might possibly be getting a part 2 if we get like another video of the part with Voicelines, and then of course the comics that we have to read. So guys, I appreciate you watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.